me now? Can you hear me now? All right, up 5,000 feet. Just a little bit north and east of the Grass Valley, Nevada City area. Look, we had that line of thunderstorms come through here. Well, it wasn't a line. We had a fast-moving bit of dry lightning move through early this morning with the monsoon moisture coming up from the remnants of that hurricane blow through the area. So we're looking to see if there's any smokes out here this morning, just right in the local area. So far, so good, but it's hard to see. We got 4 to 20 miles of visibility, depending on which way you look this morning. The weather that moved through helped stir up the atmosphere enough. Smooth ride here today, 5,000 feet. But it's hard to see a lightning strike initially because it just starts a fire, very small fire like the size of a campfire, and it can skunk around down there all morning long into the afternoon until the winds whip it up into something. But if you could find something now, we got the frequency for the air attack base, we could notify them, and we got the GPS coordinates, and they can come on up and check it out and probably put it out real quick, real early. But finding it's the trick. Oftentimes too, you can see cloud moisture. Not so much today, it's pretty dang dry. But you'll see cloud moisture in the trees. You got to distinguish the difference between moisture clouds in the trees and smoke. So far, so good. I'll show you some still pictures, what it looks like up here. Got my 3 landings in last night. I can show you that as well. Side slip. Things come down a little easier in the high density altitude.
All right, welcome back to the Blancolirio Global World Studio headquarters. It's been a while since the last ride, better known as the kitchen area. Say hi, kids. Hi. Pete, you're killing me. All right, let's take a look around and see what's going on with the California wildfire situation. Okay, let's start right out with being Monday afternoon, about 2 o'clock in the afternoon. Let's start with Flight Radar 24. While this action's still here, it looks like we've got tanker, is that tanker 10, tanker 911? Pete, if you go run outside right now, you'll probably see tanker 911 coming over here soon. We saw him fly over the house, over the global headquarters here, working a fire, what we call Janesville or Janesville Grade area off of the Plumas National Forest, right off of Honey Lake. And it looks like they've got a couple of different lead aircraft. There's lead 55, so this is a federal fire, King Air, and 421 Delta Foxtrot. There's one of the CAL FIRE. So they got both CAL FIRE and the feds working that fire over by Susanville. Now let's go back and look at the big picture. This is going back August 20th. What's going on with the weather pattern, the NOAA satellite situation. On this loop here, you can see we've got can you see the mouse on there? Yeah, you can see the monsoonal moisture getting kicked up by these hurricanes coming up into Baja California, typical this time of year. And that moisture gets sucked in with this monsoonal moisture coming in from Arizona, New Mexico area, and is getting drawn into California, bringing with it dry lightning. And look at the smoke from the wildfires here in California, blowing clear across the nation. We'll look at some more pictures here soon that'll show you just how extensive this smoke is going across the country. In this particular loop back on the 20th, you can see the smoke also getting spit well offshore. Another picture showing the fires and the smoke. This was from last week. More smoke imagery. All brought to you by California, that has the tightest air quality restrictions in the nation. Continues to pump out more smoke each year from wildfires than any other state in the nation. Okay, now let's see if we can get a current view, satellite view. Monday, the 24th of August. Looks like monsoonal moisture has moved through the areas we discussed on the airplane ride this morning and is already headed up a bit to the north. And the smoke from our fires proceeding all the way out to the Great Lakes areas. Of course, this also picks up smoke from other fires here in the western U.S., but California is really making a mess of things across the whole country as far as air quality goes. Now, from these NASA images, they can begin to build fire maps using different infrared views. And from these fire maps, we can get more detailed fire mapping technology. Using the infrared satellite imagery, NIFC, the National Interagency Fire Center, is able to put together informational maps like this, and we can begin to get a size and scope of the fires here in Northern California, throughout the state, and throughout the entire West. We'll switch over to the CAL FIRE map and start identifying these individual fires. Also, on this NIFC map, I want to show you how much national forest land there is here in Northern California. The dark green areas represent national forest, and we are just surrounded by national forest here in Northern California. So that makes those fires that are in the national forest fed fires, what we call fed fires. CAL FIRE, the old California Division of Forestry, is all the other land. So we're primarily where all the population is, in the foothills and in the valley. That's all CAL FIRE jurisdiction. But they both work together. CAL FIRE, Feds, BLM, on managing these fires. Also like to look at these lightning maps. I've got this set up for about the last 24 hours or so. We can see here in our local area, this is why I wanted to head up north and take a look in the airplane. We had 3 lightning strikes here in the north of us, north of Nevada City area, which so far has yielded no smokes. Here's what our little flyover this morning looked like on the Garmin tracker. Had the Garmin InReach tracker on while I was flying around. This only takes a waypoint about every 10 minutes or so, so it missed a couple points. I was doing about a 10-mile radius or more from the area, looking for any new smokes from any lightning strikes. Here on the CAL FIRE website, we can get some numbers on the fires that are in the CAL FIRE jurisdiction. Starting with the largest fires and working our way down, we've got nearly 1 million acres have burned or are burning in California at this time. Starting with the biggest fire, LNU Lightning Complex, 350,000 acres. Next is the SCU Lightning Complex at 347,000 acres. So there's 700,000 acres right now, plus a whole host of smaller fires. So if we click on this, the LNU, Lake County, Napa, this is the fire that basically surrounds Lake Berryessa. It includes this fire here around Lake Berryessa and this fire over here to the west. This is 350,000 acres. It's a huge chunk of land. It's all the coastal range surrounding Lake Berryessa, and this fire made a hard push down into the Vacaville-Fairfield area a couple of days ago, and they do not discuss the number of houses or structures that were lost in this fire yet at this time. And we won't have that accurate information until they get a better containment on this fire, because those numbers are just constantly changing. So 350,000 acres and only 22% containment at this time on these two complexes. Currently the largest complex in the state. And that's what's producing the majority of the smoke we see up in our neck of the woods from here all the way out towards the Great Lakes. The SCU lightning complex. This is Santa Clara, San Jose. This is all that beautiful coastal range just to the east of San Jose, where all the mountain bike trails are between San Jose and I-5 from south of Livermore down to San Luis Reservoir. San Luis Reservoir, of course, a major part of the California aqueduct system. The SCU lightning complex does not include this area. This is the CZU lightning complex, the Santa Cruz Mountains lightning complex, 78,000 acres. So this is a separate 78,000 acre fire from the 347,000 acre fire over here east of San Jose. And again, all of these complexes, these first two complexes, well, the next as well, were all started by the series of lightning strikes that first came through the state last week. South of Salinas is the River Fire at 48,000 acres and 23% containment. Down a little further on the coast. Now this is a non-Cal fire. This is a federal land in Los Padres National Forest. So here on Cal Fire, they don't have the acreage information on it. The Dolan Fire, right down here on the coast. The Big Apple Fire down in Southern California, which is basically out, 95% containment, consumed 33,000 acres, and that was there in Banning Pass, and that just burns every year. The Sheep Fire. The Sheep Fire here in Plumas County showed at 17,776 acres. Now, I'm not sure if they're talking about, I believe this is the fire that's approaching Susanville area. And this one is of concern because of the wind direction. It wants to come down out of the mountains and head down towards Susanville. So you folks there in Susanville area, let me know how that fire is going, and I would definitely get out of the way of that one. I mean, we're at our pretty typical wind flow right now. These lightning strikes are not producing a lot of strong wind today, so we mostly have well, let's go look at the wind finder. So here on Wind Finder, we've got a pretty typical flow. It's a light flow, generally out of the southwest up in the mountains. So that's what pushes the Sheep Fire, or the fire near Susanville, down the mountain and towards the town of Susanville. So that's what gives me concern about that fire. So if you're in the Susanville area, let me know how it's looking. So based on this air tanker activity in Susanville, it looks like they're still working the Sheep Fire, or perhaps a new lightning strike just to the east of the Sheep Fire. Once you get down on 395, you're in pretty much desert sage country east of Highway 395. But that can burn fast and hot as well. Timber country to the west of 395. Let's take a look at the sectional chart. Sky Vector. The airspace here in Northern California is just getting shut down all around the North State by TFR. All these red boxes here represent a temporary flight restriction due to wildfires, so that the firefighting activity, the aerial firefight, can go on unhampered. We had a TFR for the Jones Fire here locally, but it went away yesterday. So here's the TFR for the Susanville area, and there's the one for the Butte County area. And they can go anywhere from the surface up to 8,000 feet or 12,500 feet. And they'll disappear once that fire gets pretty well contained and the air show is done over the fire. These TFRs will go away pretty quick. And back on flight radar, Jenny just heard it. Jenny, what did you hear? You heard a big jet low. You couldn't see it? Well, that's tanker 944. That's the global super air tanker. Just flew over Blancolirio Global World Headquarters, heading on up to the fire near Janesville, just east and south of Susanville a bit. So he's coming out of McClellan. That's their reload base. That's the only reload base that can really handle the big 747 at this time. The big 747 has also been working these fires around the Lake Berryessa area and in Sonoma County as well. I got some footage to share with you on that. 11,000 feet. So even the big air tankers are still well below the air liners. Here's some video shot of the global supertanker over in Sonoma County area on August 20th. Looks to me like he's working the left flank of the fire. You'll see the bird dog or lead plane aircraft pop out of the smoke. Let's see if I can make this bigger without losing it. There he is. We're looking to the west, obviously, is the setting sun. Here you can see the 747 down onto the ridge top. Up here, now, there's the King Air lead plane. That's the job of the lead plane, is to take these very large air tankers safely into the drop zone, instruct them directly where to drop, using a little bit of smoke out of the lead plane, and then the tanker follows the lead plane. Now, the lead plane's braking hard left out of there, getting out of the way of the 747, and the 747 will be following his own departure path out of there. I believe on this run he comes back for another. All right, so this is a different aircraft, different drop. This is the DC-10 air tanker on a drop. He's going to drop from a little higher altitude right there. The lead airplane has already left to the left of the screen. There he is. There's the King Air departing a hard left. Here's another interesting video. Animated maps, California wildfires from 1910 to 2019. So nearly 100 years, 109 years of firefighting activity animated. The main takeaway is that California is designed to burn. And when you put 50 years of fire suppression with 50 years of environmentalism, you just create a recipe for these massive fires. And this is why you see that the records for the largest wildfires continue to get broken among many other factors. So here we are in 1966, and they're showing the land that has burned. It's not the land that's burning that year, but over the last 100 years. So you can see a steady increase in the size of the fires here in California. 1988, 1989. Let's crank it up here. 2002. There's the Cedar Fire, 270,000 acres. Remember, the fires we talked about today are on the order of 350,000 acres on these lightning complexes. Rim Fire, remember that near Yosemite. The Thomas Fire, just back in 2017. And then the Ranch and the Carr fires up near the Redding area, with the number one largest wildfire still being the Ranch Fire at 410,000 acres, followed by the Thomas Fire at 281,000 acres. So we definitely got some new top 10 fires. It's only August. So we still got some new top 10 fires already this year. It's only August. Our more serious fire season begins September, October, and into November. Remember, it was early November when we lost the town of Paradise in wind-driven events. Let's go outside and talk about some of the other issues that's affecting the firefight this year in California. So when the first round of lightning came last week through California, it was followed by an intense heat wave. It got the temperatures up over 110 degrees in the valley, Sacramento Valley, in the Sacramento area, and up to nearly 100 degrees around here. That temperature also put a tremendous burden on our electrical grid here in California. And then the electrical grid began to fail, and we began to have rolling blackouts. So during the middle of these wildfires, we're having power outages caused not by the fire, but because of a lack of electricity here in California. And that impacted the ability to get information out. The Office of Emergency Services and other folks here in California are relying heavily on technology to try to get information out to people as to the hazardous situation regarding these wildfires. Here in California, here in Nevada County, we were relying on a map produced by OES that was to show us where the evacuation areas are and where we're supposed to evacuate to. Of course, this was backed up with sheriff's patrols going into the evacuated areas and personally knocking on doors and running a pair of sirens, a European-style beedo, beedo kind of sirens, to notify people to get out of there. So we found a number of shortcomings with all of that. First off, the over-reliance on technology. The data put on the map on day one was very slow coming out. Nobody knew exactly where the fire was and where it was going. That information didn't get put out on the map until day two. The evacuations, and this always happens on day one on a wind-driven event, the evacuations come suddenly and almost it seems haphazard, but it's just because events are unfolding so quickly that even the first responders are having a hard time reacting and having a hard time getting that information out. Then you couple that with these rolling blackouts, the information's not getting out at all. People that are down in these canyons where these fires are being fought do not necessarily all have internet. If they do have internet, it's very, very slow internet. They're not fiddling around on their internet at the time that they need to evacuate. They're packing their stuff and getting out of there. The only safest way to get information out is via the radio. Somebody's got to talk to them personally and tell them what to do via the radio, something that they can have on in their car and or via their cell phone. But again, with the rolling power outages, yeah, we got backup generators for cell phones, and in these hills, not always do the cell phone signals work. So the over-reliance on technology does not help in the event of an emergency evacuation. Now, about these rolling blackouts. What's causing the rolling blackouts? How come we are having trouble maintaining an even demand for the electricity here in California? Well, because of the same issues that brought us the Paradise Fire. California has gone so overboard with the desire to get rid of fossil fuels and get onto the solar-powered program. Well, what's already been proven in court is that the rush to solar power was a part of the reason that PG&E so neglected their older hydroelectric infrastructure, that infrastructure failed and was the cause of the Paradise Fire. And part of the reason for that was they didn't spend the money on the infrastructure because they were busy spending it on switching over to non-fossil or renewable energy venues, especially with solar power. Now that we have the solar power in place, it only works when the sun's out. And so at the end of the day, during this heat wave, the demand for electricity would go way up as everybody came home and cranked up the air conditioners and got to work doing laundry and things at home, and that overtaxed the electrical grid. The solar power is able to produce a large amount can meet a large demand during the day, but it cannot meet a large demand during the night. So you got to have enough other sources of electrical power to meet that demand. One of the best sources of renewable energy and electrical power that can consistently meet that demand is hydropower. But guess what? According to California legislatures, hydropower is not considered a renewable energy source. So hydropower does not get the same funding and or the same amount of, or it doesn't get the same rate that renewable energy may be found on the open market, and so it tilts the market in favor of renewable energy sources like solar power and away from reliable sources of energy like hydroelectric power. And so that brings us down to the issue of school. Pete, how many days of school have you attended so far this year?
Only one.
Only one? So between the coronavirus and all the precautions taken for that, Nevada County is not on the watch list for coronavirus here in California. We don't have enough cases, so we have opened up public school, but in a limited format. But as soon as we get to school, or as soon as it's time to open up the school, we can't go to school because we don't have electricity, rolling power outages, and the air quality is so poor for the smoke that has caused some school day cancellations as well. So Pete here is suffering from about a third grade education at this point, and I don't know how much further we're going to get past that. Are you supposed to be in the fourth grade right now? Are you supposed to be in the third grade right now? You're in the third grade right now. I can't keep up because you grow up too fast. So you're going to have to get to homeschooling, Pete. Here's your homework assignment. Good luck. Fix all of California's problems. That'll keep you busy for a while. Thanks for your support of this channel. Thanks so much for your support on Patreon that makes this all possible. See you here. You having any luck with that yet, Pete? Keep working on it.